30 years old. It's right.
For many people at the moment, cycling is something that you're doing a lot of, and whether it's doing Wattbike tests, whether it's going on Zwift and competing against your mates or people in your cycling club, everybody is doing those things, and you want to perform as best as you can, whether it is to beat your mates or whether it is to beat a previous target, maybe from something like an FTP test. So what we wanted to share today from our experience of doing this for years and years and years was a few simple ways that you can increase and optimize your performance for those little competitions and those little tests so you can be one step ahead. First easy win is to go into your test or your challenge or your Zwift stage knowing an approximate power output target that you can sustain and get towards from the get-go. So this is what we call critical power. Critical power is the highest power output you can sustain over the course of that whole test or that whole stage. Now, if people don't have that type of target to start with, usually their pacing early on is significantly too high, or more often not, significantly too low. And then it means that we're not optimizing our performance and our fitness from the get-go to be able to maximize the performance we can achieve over the whole of the event. Now, during such events, what usually happens is you won't start off at the best power output and then just hold it the whole way. Even when you know a power output that you want to stick to or beat, often you'll start pedaling a little bit quicker than actually what your power is. So for example, if I was trying to hold 300 watts, because my legs are fresh, probably for the first minute to 2 minutes, I'm probably going to be averaging higher than that. The key then is to start to settle into where your target power actually is. So don't feel the need that you've just got to start from that second at the precise power, then just hold it. Be aware that what will probably happen is you'll probably start a little bit higher as you accelerate out the blocks and you're fresh. But the key then is you don't obviously hold that because you don't want to drop off and fatigue quickly. You then start to slowly let that power come down, and then you're holding it at that potential point that you're looking to hold through the rest of the event. So again, you can get the highest performance out of the whole duration available. It's easy to think that you should just hold one position when you're pedaling, and we do know, particularly when you're inside on a Wattbike or a turbo trainer, that there are slightly more optimal positions to produce power. For example, to have your hands on the hoods or slightly further back. However, what you find is when you alter your body position slightly, you will slightly adjust how much you recruit certain muscles. So for example, the muscles in your hips, the muscles in your hamstrings, and for example, your quadriceps as well. So one thing that can work quite well, particularly more in the earlier half of your cycling test or event, is to just alter position. You can do this however you want. For example, every minute, maybe just alter the position from being on the hoods to then being on the drops, to then being on the handlebars. But then what we do say is when it comes to that point of where things are starting to burn and you're hitting that red line and you're really starting to have to graft to hold that power output, for example, during the second half, to find that strong position on the handlebars that you feel you're best at and fix it and focus in on what you need to do. And finally, such a simple thing, but create an environment which is going to be conducive to you doing fantastic, for you to be able to graft. Get some great music on, whatever suits you. Get your drinks by you. Get some fresh air in, whatever's going to allow you to feel psychologically that you can push yourself as best as possible, whether it is to beat your mates or whether it's to set a new record. So there's a whole host of simple tips that any of you can use regardless of your ability or where you're at. So again, you can have that critical little edge, whether it is to beat some others or whether it is to beat yourself.